There is a moment, you have seen it if you know the story, where a man goes out a window, lightning still crawling up his arms, his lightsaber spinning away into the towers of Coruscant, that green-white blade end over end into the traffic lanes, until it's just another falling light in a city made of falling lights. Mace Windu, the strongest blade the Jedi Order ever produced, the one duelist Yoda himself deferred to, betrayed in a single heartbeat by the boy he never trusted, and thrown into open air by the boy's own hand. He does not scream. That is the detail everyone forgets. In all the times you've seen it, go back and watch. He doesn't scream, he simply falls, mouth closed, eyes open, and the towers of the city he spent his whole life protecting close over him like water, over a dropped stone. And there is another moment, years later, or years earlier, because time does strange and circular things where the Force is concerned. A different man, on a black metal table, on a world made entirely of fire, what is left of a man, skin gone, voice already halfway to a machine's, yellow eyes that used to be blue, staring up at a sky the color of a wound. Anakin Skywalker, burning on the shore of a lava river, screaming a name, screaming the name of the brother who put him there, the friend who loved him too much to finish him and so left him to burn. Both of these men die. Understand that clearly because it matters. That is not the what if. Both of them, in the end, die. One of them dies on a landing platform above the second Death Star, an old broken thing in a black shell, cradled in the arms of a son he only just learned he had, seeing, for one clean second before the end, with his own eyes again, and one of them dies decades before that, forgotten, uncelebrated, 1,000 feet below a Senate office on a slab of anonymous Duracrete, and the galaxy does not even pause. 2 deaths, one of them redeemed at the very last instant, one of them denied even that. The what if is this: what if the Force, and I don't mean the Jedi, and I don't mean the Sith, I mean the thing itself, the living current that both sides only ever borrowed against like a loan they could never repay. What if it looked at the books and decided the accounting was wrong? What if it reached back, took 2 dead men, and set them down at the exact beginning of everything, not as ghosts? We've seen ghosts. Ghosts give advice and fade, not as visions or whispers in a survivor's ear, as themselves, young again, whole again, hands unburned, faces unscarred, standing in their own living bodies at the dawn of the whole tragedy, remembering every single thing. What if the Force revived Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu, the man who fell furthest, and the man he took down with him, and dropped them both into the opening hour of the Phantom Menace, with the entire future still screaming inside their heads? This is a long one, 3 hours, and we are going to earn every minute. So settle in, because the first thing you learn when you follow this all the way down is that a second chance is not the mercy it pretends to be. Sometimes a second chance is just the universe asking the same question again, and refusing to let you leave the room until you finally answer it right. Let's begin. Before we go anywhere, we have to be precise about the rules, because a story like this collapses the instant the rules get fuzzy and the whole thing turns on them. The Force, in this telling, is not a genie. It does not grant wishes. It does not love these 2 men, and this is important, it does not even particularly like them. It isn't sentimental about anybody. It is a system, vast and old and fundamentally indifferent, and it wants exactly one thing, the way water wants to find its level, the way a stretched cord wants to snap back straight. It wants balance. And the galaxy it was looking at, the galaxy where Sheev Palpatine ruled unchallenged for the better part of a human lifetime, where the Jedi were hunted down to the last hiding child, where a chosen one prophesied to bring balance had instead put his shoulder against the scale and shoved everything into the dark. That galaxy was not balanced. It was a wound that had been left open so long, the body around it had forgotten what health even felt like. So the Force did what water does when a dam finally gives. It surged backward, all at once, all that stored pressure of a wrong that had never been made right, looking for the highest ground it could reach. And the highest ground, the 2 points in all of history where the imbalance ran deepest and purest, were 2 dead men, the one who fell, and the one who fell furthest. Mace Windu died certain. That's the essence of him, distilled. He died certain he'd been right. Right that Palpatine was a Sith, right that the boy Skywalker was dangerous, right that the moment called for the blade and not the trial. He died with the argument still in his mouth, and being right got him nothing but a long drop and a dead order. Anakin Skywalker died the opposite way. He died certain he had been wrong wrong about everything, wrong about power, wrong about the man who promised him the galaxy, wrong most of all about the woman he'd choked on a landing platform trying to save. He died drowning in regret so total, it finally cracked the mask open and let a little light back in, one breath before the end. The Force takes them both. It needs both. You cannot build a balance out of one weight. You need the certainty and the regret. The man who was too sure and the man who was too sorry, set on opposite pans of the same scale. So it reaches back across the years, and it takes the last exhale of the dying old master and the last exhale of the dying old monster, and it carries them both to a single shared instant. And the instant it chooses is not random. It is the morning the Trade Federation's blockade closes its ring of warships around a small green world called Naboo. The morning a corrupt trade dispute becomes the first, smallest, most innocent-looking pebble in the avalanche that buries everything. The morning the whole tragedy started rolling downhill. 2 men, 1 breath, and the entire future to do over again, whether they want to or not. The Force does not ask their permission. It never does. That's the first cruelty, and it won't be the last. Anakin wakes first. The Force, for reasons of its own, tips him back into the world a few hours ahead of Mace, which means that for those few hours, the most dangerous man in galactic history is a 9-year-old boy alone with the single memory he cannot survive. Imagine it honestly, because the whole story asks you to. You died an old man sealed in a machine, every breath a mechanical rasp, and then no transition, no tunnel of light, no gentle fade. You are 9 years old. You are lying on a thin sleeping mat on a packed dirt floor in a slave hovel in the Mos Espa slave quarter on Tatooine. And it is very early, and the light of the first of the 2 suns is coming up gray gold through a crack in the mud brick wall, and the whole small world smells the way you had forgotten the world could smell. Sand, hot metal, machine oil, dust, and underneath all of it, bread. Somebody is baking bread in the next room. A flatbread, the cheap kind, the kind you make from ration flour when there's nothing else, and the smell of it is filling the little house, and Anakin Skywalker, who was Darth Vader, who held a galaxy by the throat, who cut down younglings in the very temple that raised him, who choked the breath out of the one person he'd sold his soul to save, lies absolutely still on a child's sleeping mat and understands, with a horror bigger and colder than any fear the Sith ever taught him to weaponize, exactly whose hands are making that bread. He has not heard that sound in over 40 years. He has not smelled it since he was a boy, and it is happening in the next room, right now, because the woman making it is alive. You're up before the suns. That's my job, not yours. Couldn't sleep? I slept. You don't look it. You're gray as a droid. Come here. Ani? Hey, what is this? What's wrong? What happened? I had a dream. A long one. A really long one. You weren't here anymore. For a long time you weren't here. Oh, Ani, it was just a dream. I'm right here. See? I'm not going anywhere. Okay. The bread'll burn if I hold you much longer. You want the first piece. You always want the first piece. Yeah, I always want the first piece. Now, understand exactly what is inside this boy, because if you get it wrong, you'll misread everything he does for the next 3 hours. He is not a child who is going to grow into Darth Vader. That's the easy version, and it's false. He is Darth Vader, the finished article, the whole 4-decade catastrophe of him, folded down and packed into 9-year-old bones. Every memory is intact. He knows the name Sidious. He knows it belongs to a kindly-looking senator he has, in this timeline, not even met yet. He knows the word Mustafar and what it costs. He knows the exact sound a lightsaber makes going through a person he loves. He knows how all of it ends, and he knows every road that leads there, because he walked every one of them with his own feet, and he is standing in a poor little kitchen, holding his living mother, eating the first warm piece of bread off the stone, and the single thought filling that enormous, terrible, grief-flooded adult mind, the only thought drowning out the Republic and the Jedi and the whole burning future, is this. This time I keep her. This time she does not die in a tent while I'm a galaxy away being told attachment is forbidden. This time I keep her, whatever it costs. Whatever it costs anyone. And you need to sit with how that lands, because that exact thought is not a hero's thought. Read it again. Whatever it costs anyone. That is not the resolve of a man who came back wiser. That is the precise thought, the identical shape of love, turned to fear, turned to entitlement, that made him a monster the first time. The Force reached into the fire and pulled out a man who had every reason to have learned the lesson, and what it got back was a man who learned the wrong one, who looked at his own damnation and concluded not I loved too selfishly, but I didn't hold on hard enough. That's the bomb the Force just planted at the start of the galaxy. A man with total knowledge of the future, and a heart that drew exactly the wrong conclusion from his own destruction. Hold that. Everything he does, every good deed, and there will be good deeds, sits on top of that fault line. Mace Windu wakes in the middle of a sentence. Not his own, someone else's. And that's fitting, because where Anakin came back to a kitchen and a mother, to something warm and personal and human, Mace comes back to a committee, to procedure, to the machinery of the Order he gave his life to, grinding on exactly as it did, oblivious that one of the figures seated in its highest chamber is no longer entirely the man who left it. And while the Federation's blockade of the Naboo system is, strictly speaking, within the letter of the trade statutes, its scale is plainly provocative. The Supreme Chancellor has elected to dispatch 2 Jedi as ambassadors, quietly, to press for a negotiated, which Chancellor? Supreme Chancellor Valorum. As we have discussed at some length, Master Windu, are you well? Of course. Valorum, forgive me. Go on. Clouded, your mind is, this morning. Reaching backward, it is. Or forward, far from this room, either way. Master Yoda, a question. Hypothetically, if I told you I had seen the fall of this order, not a vision, a certainty, if I told you I knew the face and the name of the Sith Lord who ends us, ends all of it, the temple, the younglings, all of us, and that he sits in the Senate this very day, wearing a senator's smile, close enough to Valorum to touch, what would you counsel me to do? Dreams these are? Premonitions? No, not dreams, not premonitions. Memory. Memory of a thing not yet come to pass. Dangerous words, those are, Master Windu, to the mind that speaks them, most of all. Speak with me, later, alone, not here, not where ears we do not yet understand may listen. Alone, yes. Here is Mace's curse, and you need to see that it is a completely different shape from Anakin's, because the whole engine of the story is these 2 different curses grinding against each other. Anakin came back for a person, for a warm hand on his forehead, and the smell of bread. His whole revived existence has already collapsed down to a single point of love, and love, we know, is how they get him. Mace did not come back for a person. Mace came back for a principle. He came back needing to win the argument he lost. Think about how he died. Mid-sentence, mid-judgment, blade raised over a beaten Sith, absolutely certain that the correct and righteous thing was to strike. And it was Anakin's hand and Palpatine's lightning that ended the sentence for him and sent him out the window. He died right, and being right saved no one, and some part of Mace Windu has come back across a lifetime specifically to prove that this time, being right will be enough, that this time they'll believe him, that this time he strikes and no one stops his hand. And here is the tragedy already coiled inside that, quiet as a sleeping snake. A man whose deepest need is to be proven right is a man who has, without noticing, already stopped listening. Certainty is a closed door, and Mace Windu has come back through a miracle, a literal resurrection, holding the door shut with both hands. The very hands the Force gave him back. 2 men, one who will burn the galaxy to keep one woman, one who will lose the galaxy rather than lose an argument, both of them convinced they came back to fix it, neither of them yet aware that the other is here at all. That last part changes in about 40 minutes. It changes on a landing platform at the top of the Jedi Temple, when a master looks down at a 9-year-old slave boy, fresh off a ship from Tatooine, and 2 dead men recognize each other across a crowded room, and neither one can say a single word about it. You know the shape of what happens next, so let's use that. A ship limps out of the Naboo escape with a blown hyperdrive and sets down on the nearest rock, which is Tatooine, which is of course not a coincidence at all. Nothing on Tatooine is ever a coincidence. The desert has a gravity that pulls destinies toward it. A Jedi named Qui-Gon Jinn walks into a junk dealer's shop in the Mos Espa spaceport, looking for a part he can't pay for, and behind the counter, he finds a boy, except this time, the boy is watching him walk in like he already knows his name, which he does. And Qui-Gon Jinn, who is, of all the Jedi ever to draw breath, the single one most finely tuned to the living Force, the one who listens to it over the council, over doctrine, over sense, feels it the instant he crosses the threshold, a pressure, a depth, a wrongness shaped like a 9-year-old. You're a Jedi. What makes you say a thing like that? The way you came through the door, like you own the floor, but you're sorry about it, and the sword under your poncho you think nobody can see. The metal's wrong for a hydro spanner, too clean. You keep your hand near it out of habit, not because you think I'm dangerous. You're very observant, for a boy your age. I've had a lot of practice. What's your name? Anakin. Anakin Skywalker. Anakin. Tell me something, Anakin. Have you had dreams? Dreams that feel older than you are, as though you'd lived a great deal more than 9 years. You have no idea, Master Jin. I never told you my name. People talk. In the quarter, a Jedi coming through? It's the only thing anyone said all morning. You hear things behind a counter? Yes, you hear things behind a counter. Tell me, Anakin Skywalker, do you ever think about leaving this place? Every single day of my life, Master Jin. Both of them. Both. Day and night, both parts of the day. Qui-Gon Jinn was, in the life they both remember, the one Jedi humble enough and stubborn enough to listen to the will of the living Force over the will of the Council, and that quality, his best quality, the thing that made him the best of them, is precisely why, if the Force were looking for the worst possible first contact for a returned Anakin, it could not have chosen better, because Qui-Gon will believe him. Not the cover story, he's already seen through that, but the deeper thing, the wrongness, the depth, the sense of a soul too large for its vessel. Qui-Gon will read all of that as the will of the Force, as this boy is important, this boy is the chosen one, this boy must be freed and trained no matter the cost, which is exactly the conclusion that, last time, pried a 9-year-old out of slavery and carried him straight into the patient, waiting hands of the man who would groom him into a Sith. Anakin knows this. Anakin is the proof of where that road ends. And so, standing behind that counter, Anakin does something Darth Vader was never once capable of in 40 years of raging. He thinks 2 moves ahead, not for power, not to win, but to steer. He needs Qui-Gon. He needs the ship, the way off this rock, the entry back into the galaxy where Palpatine can be reached. But he cannot let events run in their old grooves, because he has ridden those grooves all the way to the bottom, and he knows the bottom is on fire. The trouble, the thing Anakin does not yet know, as he smiles his practiced child smile at Qui-Gon Jinn, is that a second man came back, a man who has spent this very same morning several planets away, deciding that subtlety is a luxury he no longer believes in, a man whose whole plan, if you can call it that, is to say the quiet part aloud to the entire Jedi Council and dare them not to believe him. 2 men steering the same runaway machine, one easing the wheel a careful degree at a time, one reaching for the brake with both hands and all his weight. They are about to find out about each other, and the finding out is going to happen in the worst possible room. It happens on the landing platform at the top of the Jedi Temple. Qui-Gon has done what Qui-Gon was always going to do. He has won the boy's freedom. He has brought him off Tatooine. He has carried him back to the heart of the Order to stand before the Council and be measured, exactly as before. The turbo lift climbs the last of the temple's impossible height. The doors part onto the high landing, the whole planet city spread out below and around in the late light. And there, waiting with the assembled masters, robes dark against the glass, stands Mace Windu. So, trained as a Jedi, you request this? Boy, B. Finding him was the will of the Force. Of that I have no doubt whatsoever. Leave us, all of you, Master Qui-Gon, Master Yoda. A moment, the boy stays. I would speak with him. Irregular this is, Master Windu, alone with an untested child, a member of this council. A moment, Master. Only that. You remember? I remember the window, Skywalker. I remember your blade taking my hand off at the wrist. I remember the lightning. I remember falling. I remember how long it took to fall, which is a thing I would not wish on anyone. And then, I remember opening my eyes in that chair, with all of it still sitting in my skull, sharp as the second it happened. So, yes, I remember, so do I. All of it. You think you got the worst of it? You got a window and a long drop window. Bad. I'm not saying it wasn't. I got the table. I got Mustafar. I got 20 years sealed in a suit that hurt every second I breathed in it, listening to my own lungs work like a bellows, being him, doing what he pointed me at, and remembering the whole time exactly what I'd traded and exactly who I'd... You got a bad afternoon. I got a bad life. Twice now. So don't stand there and hold your one window over me. The Force sent us back, both of us, to the same hour. That is not an accident, Skywalker. Nothing on that scale is an accident. It sent us back to stop it, to stop him, to keep all of it, the window, the table, the fire, the whole rotten collapse. from ever happening. Did it tell you that? What? Did it tell you? Did the Force sit you down and hand you a mission? Because it didn't tell me anything. It didn't leave me a note. It didn't give me a speech about duty. It just dropped me back into a small body in a small house on that miserable rock. And you know what was in that house, Windu? My mother, alive, making bread, not screaming in a Tuscan tent 40 years too late for me to save her. Alive, right now, this morning, close enough to touch. So maybe the Force sent you back to save your precious order. Fine, wonderful, go save it. I'll even help where it doesn't cost me anything. But hear me clearly, because I am only going to say it once, and I need you to believe it the way you believe the window happened. I am not here for your order. I'm not here for the Republic. I already watched every bit of it die, once, from the inside, and I promise you the galaxy kept right on spinning without any of it. I am here for exactly one thing. And if you ever put yourself between me and it, the way you put yourself between me and, then that window is going to feel like the mercy option. Are we clear? I understand you perfectly. The Force didn't send back two saviors, did it? It sent back the two people in the whole galaxy with the most reason and the most history to put each other back in the ground. Yeah, maybe it did. Welcome back, Master Windu. And that is the end of Act 1. Look at where we stand. Two men resurrected across a lifetime by a force that wants balance and does not care what it costs them to provide it. Both of them holding the complete map of a future that has not happened yet. Both of them certain they came back to fix things. And both of them chasing salvations that cannot coexist. One reaching for a principle, one reaching for a person, and the two roads already visibly diverging in the gold light of that high landing. The grudge is lit. It has been lit for a lifetime. They just plugged it back into a socket. Everything from here forward is the burning. But, and hold on to this as we go into Act 2, there is a third player in this game. And unlike the Council, who suspect nothing, unlike Qui-Gon, who suspects everything and understands none of it, unlike anyone else in the entire galaxy, he is about to feel two impossible ripples in the living Force. 2 points of knowledge that should not, that cannot, exist. 2 candles burning in a room where he was certain he'd been left alone with the dark. And Sheev Palpatine has always, his whole long patient life, been curious about impossible things. We'll meet him properly in Act 2. Here's the trap the Force built, whether it meant to or not, and by the end of this you're going to have your own opinion on that question. Mace Windu and Anakin Skywalker know the single most important fact in the galaxy. They know it with a certainty no living being has ever possessed about anything, that Senator Sheev Palpatine of Naboo, mild, gray, soft-spoken, universally liked, currently wringing his hands over his poor blockaded homeworld, is Darth Sidious, Dark Lord of the Sith, the patient architect of everything that is coming, the spider at the exact center of a web that no one else can even see the strands of yet. They know it the way you know your own name, and they can prove precisely none of it. Sit with how airtight that trap is, because it's the whole shape of the act. In this timeline, right now, Palpatine has done nothing. There is no clone army. It hasn't even been secretly ordered yet, or if it has, the order is buried on a world no one's heard of. There is no Order 66. There's no war. There is no recording, no witness, no financial trail, no dead body with his fingerprints on it. He is a popular junior senator whose planet is, at this very moment, the victim of an act of aggression. He is, if anything, a sympathetic figure. So imagine Mace Windu walks into the Senate Rotunda, or even just into the Jedi Council chamber, and says the words, "That man is a Sith Lord. I've seen the future. He murders us all." What happens? Nothing good. At best, a respected master is quietly relieved of his duties for stress, for visions, for whatever kind word they'd use. At worst, and this is the part that keeps Mace awake, Palpatine hears about it, because Palpatine hears about everything. That's his whole gift. And a Sith Lord who learns, 13 years early, that the Jedi are onto him does not politely wait to be arrested. He simply moves his timetable up and kills them faster before they can organize, while they're still fat and complacent and unwarned. Knowledge without proof isn't a weapon, it's a liability. It's a loaded gun pointed at your own foot, and the two men holding that gun cannot stand to be in the same room. We build a case. Patiently, we watch him. We document every manipulation, every senator he buys, every crisis he nudges into being. We wait until he gives an order he can't explain, takes a step he can't walk back. And then we hand the Senate and the Council something they physically cannot deny. Evidence, not a feeling, not a vision. Proof. How long? As long as it takes to do it right. No. How long did it take last time? You did exactly this. You watched, you waited, you built your case the careful Jedi way. How long? It was a different 13 years, give or take. 13 years of watching, and at the end of all of it, you still didn't move on him until I walked into your office and told you what he was to my face. You didn't crack it, I handed it to you, and then your careful, patient, evidence-based case ended with 4 masters dead in a hallway in about 90 seconds and you going out a window. So forgive me if we do the exact thing that already failed, but earlier doesn't fill me with hope. The thing that failed last time, Skywalker, was trusting you. I had him beaten, disarmed, on the floor, and I raised my blade to end it. The correct call, the only call. And you cut off my hand so he could live. That's the move that lost, not the patience, you. And you want to know why I cut off your hand? Because you spent that whole confrontation proving his entire point for him. He told me, for years, that the Jedi were rigid, that you'd murder a beaten man and call it justice, that you cared about your rules more than about people, and then you stood over him with your blade up and proved it. You made him look like the reasonable one. In the worst moment of my life, you handed the villain the moral high ground, and you always thought the problem was that I was weak. The problem was that you were certain. You were certain right up until the window. Notice the reversal, because the entire act lives inside it, and it is the cruelest joke the Force has played on either of them. In the life they both remember, in that office at the end, it was Mace who stood over a beaten, disarmed Palpatine with his blade raised, ready to strike, snarling that the man was too dangerous to be left alive, and it was Anakin who cried out, no, he must stand trial, it is not the Jedi way, and then, in the same breath, betrayed everything by taking Mace's hand. Now watch them. It is Anakin arguing for the kill, strike him now, strike him in the dark, don't give him the chance. And it is Mace arguing for the trial, the process, the evidence, the Jedi way. They have swapped, perfectly. Each man is now standing in the exact spot the other stood in on the worst night of both their lives, arguing the other's old position with the other's old conviction. And the horror of it is that they both know, they can both see the mirror, and neither one can climb out of it because each is convinced that this time, in this role, he's finally the one who's right. That's not an alliance. That's 2 men handcuffed to opposite ends of their own worst memory and told to save the galaxy together. Anakin doesn't sleep that night. He lies on a cot in the Temple's initiate quarters, because that's what he is now, officially, a too old initiate they haven't decided what to do with. And he stares at the ceiling, and he does the math that Mace won't do. Palpatine, right now, tonight, is more vulnerable than he will ever be again. No clone army, no apprentice at his shoulder. Maul is off doing Maul's business, systems away. No empire, no Order 66 contingency, no decades of accumulated power. Just one old Sith in a senatorial apartment, confident to the point of arrogance because he believes correctly that not one soul in the galaxy knows what he is, except 2 do. And Anakin Skywalker is 9 years old, which means he can walk the public levels of Coruscant like a shadow. Nobody looks twice at a child. Nobody stops a boy. He knows the building. He knows the floor. He knows, from a lifetime of being invited into those rooms, exactly how to reach them. So he goes. It's very late for a boy to be so very far from the Jedi Temple. They'll worry, you know. Master Jin strikes me as the worrying kind, under all that serenity, though I suspect you're not a boy who's easily kept where he's put. The little slave boy from Tatooine, the one who has our good Qui-Gon Jinn so thoroughly enchanted. Skywalker, isn't it? Anakin Skywalker. Do you know, when your little ship limped into this system, when you first set foot on this planet, I felt something I had not felt in a very, very long time. A disturbance in the Force, shaped precisely like a man. 2 of them, in fact. 2 points of impossibility, knowledge where no knowledge should be, as though someone had read the last page of a book that has not yet been written, and now one of those impossibilities has climbed through my ventilation in the dark. Isn't that strange? In a child of 9. Go on then. Whatever it is you came here to do it. I'm very old, and you are very quick. I can feel how quick you are. There's no one here, no witnesses, no counsel. Let's see what you are. Anakin Skywalker, deep down, under the little tunic and the big sad eyes. Let's find out together. I came to tell you that I know what you are. Oh, do you? And what am I, little one? Patient. You're patient. You waited years for me. Last. You're the most patient thing in this galaxy. And you? I used to think I wasn't patient. I thought that was my weakness. Turns out I've got all the time in the world. So do you. Let's both be patient, Senator. Let's see who's better at it this time. Anakin walks out of that apartment having won something enormous and lost something just as enormous, and it'll take the rest of the act to see which one mattered more. What he won: discipline. The single thing Darth Vader could never do. Feel the rage and not obey it. He stood in front of the man who damned him with a blade and an opening, and he chose not to be the weapon. That's growth. That's real. Some fragile new thing was born in Anakin Skywalker in that dark study, and we should not pretend it wasn't. What he lost, the secret, he confirmed it. Whatever Palpatine merely suspected when he felt those two ripples in the Force, he now knows. There is a child who calls him patient like it's a shared old joke, who says last and then swallows it, who threatens him with time. Palpatine now knows, for a fact, that he is hunted from somewhere outside the normal flow of events. And here is the iron law of this entire story, so carve it somewhere. A Sith who knows he is hunted does not sit still. Everything Mace wanted, the years of patient case building, Anakin just made impossible in a single midnight visit, not out of stupidity, out of a hunger he mastered, but not quite fast enough to stop himself walking in the door. We need to spend real time inside Palpatine's head now, because a story is only ever as good as the intelligence of its villain, and this villain has just received the most interesting piece of news of his very long life. Most tellings of this era give you a Palpatine who is always 10 steps ahead, serene, untouchable. That's not the man we have anymore. We have something rarer and far more dangerous. A Palpatine who has just discovered he is not alone at the top of the board, and who is thrilled and afraid in exactly equal measure. Master, you summon me from the hunt. The hunt changes my apprentice. The Naboo matter proceeds. The blockade, the girl queen, the pressure on Valorum, all of it as designed. But a new variable has entered my board. 2 of them. Jedi? A Jedi, yes. An old one, on the council, whose mind has gone strange and certain in a way I do not like. I feel him watching me from a direction that does not exist. And the other? The other is a child, a slave boy Jin dragged off Tatooine, 9 years old, who climbed into my rooms tonight with a blade and the eyes of a man who has killed a great many people and chose not to kill me, not from mercy, my apprentice, from strategy. A 9-year-old made a strategic decision not to murder me. Do you understand how wrong that is? A trap, Master? Some deception of the Jedi? No, the Jedi have no such thing in them. They are too proud to be this subtle. No. This is something else. Someone has been told how our story ends, Maul. Someone read the last page, and they have been sent back to tear it out. Sent back. From when? I don't know. Isn't it wonderful? I have spent my entire life, my apprentice, absolutely certain that I was the only creature in this galaxy who could see the whole board at once. Every other player a piece, moved by my hand, or moving in patterns I had already mapped. And now, there are 2 players who see it too. Perhaps who see further. It is the loneliest certainty in existence, being the only one who understands the game. And tonight, for the first time in 40 years, I am not lonely. I have opponents. Real ones. Then we destroy them. We adapt. If someone knows my slow and beautiful road, the decade of patient work, the war I was going to grow like a garden, then that road is poisoned. We will not walk it. We will take a faster one, cruder, uglier, one I have not yet drawn, so that it exists on no page they could have read. Burn the map behind us, my apprentice, all of it. We improvise now, and that is the hinge on which all 3 hours of this story swing. So let it land all the way. Anakin and Mace came back with one overwhelming, impossible, war-winning advantage. They know the future. They know every move Palpatine is going to make, every crisis he'll manufacture, every senator he'll turn, the exact date the Republic dies. It's the greatest intelligence coup in galactic history, and it has an expiration date, and the expiration date is the moment they use it, because Palpatine is not a recording. He's not a script running on rails that they can read ahead in. He is the single most adaptive intelligence in the galaxy, and the instant he senses his plan is known, which he now does thanks to a midnight visit Anakin couldn't quite stop himself from making, he throws the plan away. He stops following the future they remember, and every memory Anakin and Mace possess of what happens next turns, in that instant, to ash, to a map of a country that no longer exists. They came back with the whole game solved, and on the very first night, the enemy flipped the board over, scattered the pieces, and said, "Let's play a different game, one neither of us has the answers to." From here on, they're not remembering the future, they're improvising it, blind. just like everyone else, except everyone else didn't spend a lifetime believing they knew how it ends. The Naboo campaign unfolds. It must. Some things still have their momentum, roughly along the shape they remember. The invasion, the daring escape with the young Queen Amidala, the return to an occupied homeworld to take it back, and at the molten heart of it, the duel every one of you has been waiting for since I said the words Phantom Menace. The hangar on Theed, the pulsing crimson energy gates of that long corridor, and the horned devil waiting on the other side of them. Darth Maul. In the life they remember, this is where it goes wrong for the first time. This is where Qui-Gon Jinn dies. Run through the chest, while Obi-Wan is trapped behind a barrier, screaming, one shield wall away, and helpless. And that death is the first domino of everything. Qui-Gon's death is why Obi-Wan, barely knighted, takes on the training of a boy he isn't ready to teach. It's why Anakin grows up subtly under-mentored, subtly resentful, subtly available to a patient senator's fatherly attention. Pull the thread of the whole tragedy, and it starts here, on this floor, with this death. Mace knows it, Anakin knows it, and for exactly once in this entire story, they agree without arguing. Not today. You knew where he would step before he stepped. I've seen this fight before, Master Jin. I've seen how it ends when nobody's standing where I'm standing. Victory, clean, total, unambiguous victory. Qui-Gon Jinn lives. Maul dies for good and never comes back. The first domino, the one that starts the whole avalanche, simply never falls. For one bright, ringing moment, standing in that quiet reactor corridor, it looks like they've actually done it. Like knowing the future was enough after all. Like you really can reach back into a tragedy and pull out the one nail that holds the whole structure of grief together. Hold on to that feeling. Enjoy it, because it is the last uncomplicated good thing that happens in this story. It is never that easy. It is never that easy, because every domino you reach in and stop from falling, every single one was also holding something else up. And the thing this one was holding up is about to come down in a way that nobody, not even two men from the future, saw coming. Watch the ripples spread out from that reactor room, because this is where a clever story earns the right to be 3 hours long instead of 30 seconds of wish fulfillment. Qui-Gon Jinn lives. Wonderful, unambiguously good on its own terms. But pull the camera back. In the timeline they remember, Qui-Gon's death is the specific event that freed Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's what got Obi-Wan knighted early, ahead of schedule, on the strength of having slain a Sith, and it's what put Anakin into Obi-Wan's hands, because Qui-Gon's dying wish, the promise Obi-Wan made over his master's body, was to train the boy. None of that happens now. Qui-Gon is alive. So Qui-Gon claims Anakin as his Padawan, as he always wanted to, as he fought the whole council to be allowed to do, which means Obi-Wan Kenobi is not knighted in a rush of grief and glory. He remains a senior Padawan, then a junior knight, and he drifts, competent, unremarkable, assigned elsewhere. The steady, loyal, patient brother who anchored Anakin through the whole first tragedy, who loved him enough to leave him for dead on a lava bank rather than kill him. That man is simply not in the room this time. He's 3 sectors away, running border patrols, a stranger to the boy whose life he was supposed to save. And Qui-Gon, brilliant, willful, gloriously allergic to the Council and all its structure, is a profoundly different master than patient Obi-Wan would have been. He indulges the boy. He trusts the boy's uncanny knowledge, instead of being unnerved by it. And being Qui-Gon, he takes Anakin out, away from the temple, away from the other masters, away from the structure, on long solo missions to the Outer Rim, where the living force runs wild, and a master and apprentice can go months without a council check-in, which means the one person in the entire galaxy who knows exactly what Anakin Skywalker is, Mace Windu, loses sight of him for months at a stretch. The Watcher, blinded by a rescue. We saved Jin's life, and I can't shake the feeling we tore a hole in the world doing it. The boy's off the grid half the year now, out past the rim with a master who thinks the Force can do no wrong through him. Palpatine's gone quiet. Wrong quiet, adapting quiet. Every single thing I knew is coming loose in my hands, Master. The future I remember it's not out there anymore. I look for it and it's gone. Changed the future, you have, yes, but wiser the future is not, simply because different it is. A thing you saved, and a thing you cannot yet see. You lost to save it. Balance. Always balance. I know how this ends. I've seen how it ends. Knew how it ends. Past tense, Master Windu, a road you memorized, and now, smoke, a new road we walk in the dark, same as every other soul who ever lived. And this I will say to you, and hear it. Certainty in you, dangerous it has become. Sure, you are of everything, every morning, certain, and every evening, surprised. Certain and surprised, around and around. A man who is always both. Listening, he has stopped. Notice this in yourself. Before notice it in you, your enemy does. You think I've stopped listening. I think a man given the future, and then robbed of it, grips very hard at what remains. And what remains, Master Windu, is only ever your own certainty. Dangerous thing to grip. The Force, water it is. Grip water. And gone. Yoda has, without knowing a single specific, without knowing about the window, or the fire, or the table, put his old green finger directly on the wound. Mace Windu's entire returned identity is built on knowing the future. It's his whole advantage, his whole purpose, the whole reason he believes the Force chose him. And the future is dissolving under his feet, faster and faster, partly because of choices he himself made, and a man whose power is certainty, watching his certainty evaporate one day at a time, is a man being slowly hollowed out from the inside. That's not a small thing. That is the precise beginning of how a man like Mace Windu breaks. Not with a scream, with a grip, gripping harder and harder at the one thing left. I am right, I know I am right, as the ground keeps proving him wrong. And now the second engine of the whole story finally throttles up to full power, because we have not forgotten, and Anakin has never, not for one waking second, forgotten the single thing he actually came back for. His mother is still a slave, still on Tatooine, still owned. In the campaign they remember, Anakin left her behind on this very journey. The boy went off to be a Jedi, and the mother stayed in bondage, and years later, she died in a Tusken camp, tortured, in her son's arms, moments too late to save. And that grief, that specific, unbearable, I was not there grief, is the exact crack that Palpatine poured himself into. It's the wound that made the monster. Anakin has been patient about the galaxy. He held a blade to Palpatine's throat and put it away. He's endured Mace, endured the Council, endured being an overaged initiate, and then a strange master's stranger apprentice. He has been, by his own brutal standards, a model of restraint about everything except this. About this, he has not been patient for one single hour, because every hour he is not on Tatooine is an hour closer to a tent in the desert. I'm going back for her. Tatooine, now, before it happens, before what happens, before she dies in a tent full of Tuskens, screaming, while I'm on the other side of the galaxy being lectured about letting go of my attachments. I've done that version. I did the not being there. I will not do it a second time. Skywalker, listen to me. If you drop everything and burn straight to Tatooine to buy one slave, right now, with Palpatine adapting, going quiet, watching for exactly the kind of pattern you're about to hand him, you tip him off completely, you go emotional, you go predictable, you go to the exact place your attachment points, the way a compass goes north. And he has been waiting this whole time to see which direction that needle swings. You will be walking his road for him and calling it saving her. Then let him wait. You think I clawed my way back from that mask, from that table, from Mustafar, from 20 years of being the thing he built, to sit in this temple and play your long, careful game while she runs out of years in the dark. You want to save the galaxy, Windu. I understand that now. I finally understand the exact difference between us, and it's very simple. You would let one person die to save the plan. I would let the whole plan die to save one person. I already did it once. I let the galaxy burn for one person, and I'd do it again tomorrow morning without blinking. That's the same choice that made you Vader. Beat for beat, save the one you love at any cost, and call the cost worth it. That is the exact arithmetic that ends with you on that lava bank. I know, maybe that means it was never the wrong choice. Maybe I got everything else wrong. The anger, the fear, trusting him, all of it. But maybe loving her enough to save her was the one thing I got right, and I just did it with the wrong hands. There was someone else too. Last time, someone Never mind, one at a time. My mother first. Notice what Anakin almost said. There was someone else too. He said her name to no one. He can't. The grief of Padme is a room he keeps locked even from himself, because Shmi is a grief he can still do something about. She's alive, she's savable, she's a problem with a solution, and the other one is not yet, maybe not ever, and a man can only carry so many impossible loves at once before they crush him. So he carries the one he thinks he can win, and he buries the other, and he tells himself one at a time. But you and I heard it. The second fuse is there, and in a story about a man whose love is the thing that damns him, a second love, hidden, unresolved, waiting, is not a small detail. It's the back half of the bomb, and that is Act 2. The plan to stop Palpatine has cost them their map, burned it the first night. Saving Qui-Gon cost them Obi-Wan, the one anchor that might have held Anakin steady, and the fault line that was always running down the center of their alliance has cracked wide open into daylight. Mace will sacrifice the one to save the many. Anakin will sacrifice the many to save the one. They are not two heroes with a shared mission. They are two entire philosophies of love and duty aimed straight at each other, closing fast. And Palpatine, adapting, accelerating, no longer on any page they've read, has begun to suspect the most delicious possibility of his long life, that he may not need to defeat these two impossible opponents at all. He may only need to stand back and let them do it to each other. Time skips forward now, not years. Palpatine no longer has the luxury of years, and neither, it turns out, does the story. Months. A handful of hard, accelerating months, and across them, the galaxy begins to feel wrong in a way that ordinary people with no midi-chlorians, no visions, no memory of any other future, start to notice in their gut. The way animals go quiet before a quake, the way the air changes before a storm you can't yet see, because in the life Mace and Anakin remember, Palpatine's rise was a slow, patient masterpiece, a work of art, if you can stomach calling it that, more than a decade of it, a manufactured separatist crisis, grown carefully like a hothouse flower, a war engineered to last precisely long enough to exhaust and frighten a republic into handing one man everything, emergency powers granted so gradually, so reasonably, one small reluctant vote at a time, that no historian could ever point to the single day democracy died. It didn't die on a day. It was eased out over years, so gently it thanked him on the way. He cannot do that now. That road is burned. He said so himself, kneeling in the dark. Someone read the last page, so we take a road that exists on no page. And so Sheev Palpatine reaches for something cruder, faster, and, precisely because it's improvised, precisely because it's ugly, far more dangerous than the beautiful slow poison he'd planned. He doesn't grow a war. He detonates a crisis, a single, spectacular, unforgivable atrocity, a bombing at the very heart of the Senate itself, in the convocation chamber, in full view of the holocams, bodies real and smoke rising, and terror broadcast live to a trillion homeworlds within the hour, blamed instantly and seamlessly on extremists. A separatist fringe that Palpatine has spent these compressed months manufacturing, not as a decade-long war, but as a bogeyman, a face for the fear, something to point the cameras at while the bodies are still warm, and where the old patient timeline used a slow war to justify the slow accumulation of power, this new, ugly, accelerated timeline uses one atrocity to demand it all at once. Not emergency powers over 10 years, emergency powers this week, this session, before the smoke clears. While a frightened galaxy is screaming for a strong hand, any strong hand, to make the fear stop. I did not want this. Let the record show. Let my beloved Naboo remember that I did not want this. But I will not stand in this chamber over these dead and tell you that our old and gentle procedures are equal to the darkness that did this. They are not. And if this body must, in its grief, ask one servant to carry the weight of keeping you safe, then let it be a servant who never wanted the weight and who will lay it down gladly the moment the danger has passed. And there is one more piece on this new, ugly board, one that Anakin has spent 2 acts refusing to look at directly and can refuse no longer, because the accelerated crisis has done something the slow timeline took years to do. It has pulled a certain senator from Naboo back into the center of everything. Not a queen anymore, a senator now, young, fierce, and standing almost alone in that smoke-filled convocation chamber against the stampede toward emergency powers. Padme, they just gave it to him. All of it, because they were frightened. I always thought, if it ever came to this, that it would be a tyrant who took our freedom. Nobody warned me it would be a frightened room handing it over and thanking him for taking it. So this is how it dies, with thunderous applause. Padme. That's a grim thing to have ready on your tongue. Have we met? You look at me like we've met. No, Senator. I'd remember. Mark that. He didn't reach for her. For the first time in the history of Anakin Skywalker, he saw the face that unmade him, and he turned his back and stood his post. That's the same fragile new muscle he found in Palpatine's study, the one that lets him feel the pull and not obey it. It is getting stronger, and it is about to be tested past anything a study or a corridor could ask of it. He compresses 10 years of patient corruption into a single season of shock and grief and blood. And here is the horrible, perfect irony that the whole act has been walking toward, so let it land with its full weight. The old, slow path, the one they remembered, gave the Jedi a decade, 10 years to maybe notice, maybe doubt, maybe quietly organize, maybe see the shape of it before the trap closed. 10 years of runway. This new, fast, improvised path gives them weeks. By trying to stop Palpatine early, by making him feel watched, by making him abandon his beautiful slow plan, Anakin and Mace have panicked the most dangerous man in the galaxy into a strategy that is uglier, bloodier, faster, and completely, totally off their map. They knew every step of the slow dance. They knew the music by heart, and they've forced him into a dance with no music at all, one he's inventing as he goes, one they have never seen. The thing they came back to prevent is not happening. Something worse is happening instead, and this is the part that will sit in Anakin's chest like a stone for the rest of the story. They made it. Their intervention didn't stop the fire. It just poured accelerant on a different one, and it's worth going back into his head one more time, because the accelerated plan cost him something too, and a great villain is one you can watch pay a price he pretends not to feel. You made me clumsy. Do you understand what you took from me? 13 years of craftsmanship. A war I would have grown like a bonsai, trained one wire at a time, until the galaxy begged me to become what I already was. It would have been elegant, and you two ghosts, you readers of unwritten pages, you frightened me into this. Bodies in the chamber, blood on the marble, crude, fast, ugly, effective, yes. I have my powers a decade early, but there is no artistry in a bomb. I did so want it to be beautiful, no matter. The board is uglier, but it is still mine. And the two of you have a flaw I do not. You disagree with each other. I felt it in the vault tonight, that old fool Yoda's little seance rippling out through the Force. You looked into the same fire, and came out further apart than you went in. I don't need to beat you. I need only to keep you in the same room long enough. Bring me the slave woman from Tatooine. Alive, unmarked, comfortable. It's time to invite the boy to a family reunion. It is Yoda who forces the reckoning, because of course it is. By now, the old master has quietly deduced the thing Mace never fully told him, that these two, the strange certain man and the strange knowing boy, share a secret older than their own bodies. He doesn't know the mechanism. He doesn't need to. He can feel it the way you feel a draft and know a window's open somewhere in the house. And he decides that whatever these two are carrying, they can no longer be trusted to carry it alone, in the dark, pointed at each other. So he takes them down, beneath the temple, beneath the vaults, beneath the training halls, to a chamber older than the Republic itself, a place where the living force runs so close to the surface of the world that the walls seem to breathe, a place the Jedi mostly avoid, because it does not show you what you want, it shows you what is, and he tells them to look, not forward. That's just prophecy, and prophecy is a liar, not backward. That's just memory, and they have too much of that already. He tells them to stop steering the Force for one single moment, to unclench, both of them, and let it show them what it has been trying to show them since the morning it dragged them back. It shows them the world they are making, and the world they are making is worse than the one they died in. In the first branch, they see Palpatine's fast coup succeed, cleanly, totally, the atrocity, the emergency powers, the strong hand, and because it happens in weeks instead of years, there is no slow boiling resentment, no decade for a resistance to quietly root and grow. The Empire arrives fully formed and merciless before anyone thinks to organize against it, which means no 10-year war of attrition to forge a rebellion in, no scattered cells, no smuggled hope, no alliance, no desert boy on a moisture farm growing up to blow up a battle station, because the battle station is simply built, early and unopposed, and used once on an example world and never needed again. No twins hidden away as insurance, because there is no war left for them to be insurance in. The light doesn't get driven into hiding to wait for a better day. In this branch, the light just goes out cleanly in a single generation and stays out forever, because nothing survives to relight it. The tragedy they lived through, for all its horror, had a return in it, a redemption on a docking bay. This one doesn't. This one is just an ending. In the second branch, they see Mace, older, harder, grayer. He has fought the fast coup the only way his nature allows, with total certainty and total sacrifice, spending lives and worlds and principles like currency, telling himself every time that the loss was necessary, that the arithmetic demanded it, that a man who sees the whole board must be willing to sacrifice any piece on it, and in the vision he stands atop a mountain of those necessary losses. Allies he spent, innocents he wrote off, lines he crossed because crossing them was efficient. And he has won, technically. He has stopped Palpatine, and his eyes in the vision are not the color they should be. They've gone pale, then paler, then a sick and familiar yellow. The man who would sacrifice anything to be right has, at the summit of being right, become the very thing he was fighting, not through anger, through certainty, a Sith of pure conviction. In the third branch, they see Anakin get exactly what he wants. Shmi, alive, old, safe, gray-haired and laughing in a garden somewhere green and far from any desert, having lived the full long life the first timeline stole from her. Everything Anakin came back for, everything he swore he'd pay any price to buy, and behind her, past the garden wall, to every horizon, the galaxy in ashes, because he did pay any price. He let it all burn, exactly as he promised Mace he would, chose the one over the many at every single fork, and here is his reward. One safe, beloved, elderly woman in a garden, at the center of a graveyard, the size of a galaxy. She is alive, and she is the only thing that is. Sent you back, the Force did. This, you know. But why? Asked you never. Assumed you both did, that a gift it was. A weapon, a second chance to swing harder. But look. Two great imbalances the Force found when backward it reached. Not two heroes, two wounds. The one who loved too much, and would burn a galaxy to keep one's soul, and the one who was certain too much, and would spend a galaxy to be proven right. Perhaps sent back, you were not, to fix the galaxy at all. Perhaps sent back you were to fix yourselves, each in the mirror of the other, and only then, the galaxy. And there it is. The central mystery of the entire story cracks open in that underground chamber, and everything you've watched for 2 hours reorganizes itself around it. Maybe the Force didn't send back two saviors. Maybe it never cared about Palpatine at all. Palpatine is a symptom, not the disease, a weed that grows wherever the soil's already sick. Maybe the Force reached back and selected, with terrible precision, the two specific men whose two specific flaws had cracked the galaxy in the first place. Anakin's ruinous, world-ending love, Mace's ruinous, world-ending certainty, and it put them in the same room, in the same standoff, again and again and again. Each one forced to watch his own deepest flaw, walking around wearing another man's face, up close, unavoidable, for as long as it took. The vision was never a warning about the world, it was a mirror, and they'd been standing in front of it the whole time, each one pointing at the other's reflection. There is one more person who has been watching Anakin Skywalker with growing dread, and he is the man who saved him, or rather, the man Anakin arranged to have saved. Qui-Gon Jinn has trained this apprentice for years now, and he has spent every one of those years quietly certain that he is teaching someone who already knows more than he does. That night, after the vision, he stops his apprentice at the door. You drop the third gate before Maul moved to it. Years ago. I've never asked you how. I've never asked you a great many things, Anakin, because every time I get close, the Force around you goes so loud I can't hear my own question. But I'll ask one now. That day in Watto's shop, you knew my name. And when I look at you, when I really look, I don't see a young man. I see something that's already been to the end of a very long road and walked all the way back. What are you? Someone who got a second chance he didn't ask for and doesn't deserve. You were the best of them, Master. The first time, and this time both. You listened when no one else would. I need you to keep doing that, even when what I do stops making sense. Especially then. The Force brought you to me twice then. However that's possible. I won't pretend I understand it, but I've never known it to be wrong about who needs catching, so I'll keep listening. And Anakin, when the moment comes that you think you have to do it alone, in the dark, with no one who loves you standing near, that's the moment you come find me instead. That's the whole of what a master is for. Remember that promise. When you think you have to do it alone, come find me instead. It's the exact thing that was missing the first time. And the story is quietly loading it, like a round in a chamber, for the moment in the hangar when Anakin will be one motion from doing precisely that. Alone, in the dark, with a blade in his hand, they come out of the vision changed. But, and this is the whole tragedy of the penultimate movement, they come out changed in opposite directions. because two men can stare into the same mirror and draw two contradictory conclusions, especially if each is still convinced the flaw in the glass belongs to the other guy. Some events want to happen, that's what it was showing us. The Force has a shape it wants to return to, and when we push it, when we saved Jyn, when we hunted Palpatine early, it doesn't stop. It just finds another way to that shape, an uglier way, a way we can't predict because we made it up by pushing. So maybe the answer isn't to push harder, maybe the answer is to stop fighting the river. Let the key events happen, the crisis, even the war, even the powers. Let them fall the way they were always going to fall, but this time we're in them, awake, positioned, and we catch it at the one single point where it actually broke last time, not before, not by force, at the hinge, one cut in the right place, at the right instant. You want to let it happen. You watched that vision, you watched a galaxy burn clean, no rebellion, no return, nothing, and your takeaway is let most of it happen, and trust myself to catch the last domino. I want to stop flailing at the whole river and choose the one place to stand in it. Yes. That's discipline, Anakin. That's a plan. What you're calling letting it happen, I'm calling aim. And my mother, in your river, in your let it happen. Where's my mother standing when you pick your one perfect spot? If saving her is the thing that tips the whole board, if the price of one woman is the galaxy going the clean burn way, then she's one of the events we let happen. Yes, one life, weighed against every life. That's the arithmetic, Anakin. It was always the arithmetic. I'm not being cruel, I'm being honest, which is the one kindness I have left to offer you. I did that arithmetic once, on Mustafar. I ran the numbers your exact way. The many over the one, the order over the love, the greater good, all your good clean words. I told myself I was saving everyone. And you know how that arithmetic ended? With my hands around the throat of the one person the whole equation was supposed to protect, choking the life out of the reason I did any of it, and calling it strength, calling it the greater good. Your arithmetic isn't the road away from the mask, Master Windu. It is the mask. It's the exact set of numbers that builds it, bolt by bolt. I have run your equation to the end, and I have the receipts. 20 years of receipts, in a voice that wasn't mine anymore, and your equation ends with a woman alive in a garden and everyone else dead. We both saw it. Don't stand there and tell me your road is clean. Your road has the highest body count of anyone who ever lived. I know what my road costs. At least I know I'm carrying a body count. You still think yours is arithmetic, and this is the genius of the trap the Force laid, if trap is even the word, and by now you should be unsure. Look at what each man concluded. Mace's answer: let the necessary things happen. Sacrifice the one for the many, choose your moment, and spend whatever the moment costs. That is Mace's flaw talking. That's certainty. That's control. That's the greater good sharpened into a blade. The exact quality the vision showed, turning his eyes yellow. Anakin's answer: save the one, save her, burn the many, if the many is what stands in the way. That is Anakin's flaw talking. That's attachment made absolute. Love curdled into the thing the vision showed him standing in a garden at the center of a graveyard. Each man has looked into the mirror and correctly, brilliantly, mercilessly diagnosed the other man's sickness, and been utterly, completely blind to his own. They are standing an arm's length apart, each pointing at the other's reflection and shouting there that that's the flaw that ends worlds, and each one is exactly right, and each one is pointing at himself and can't see it. The only way out, the only door, is the one thing neither of them has managed in 2 entire lifetimes: to stop pointing at the other man's reflection, to listen to the person he most despises, and to take the one true thing that person is screaming, the truth his own flaw has kept him blind to, and let it in, let it correct him. They are not there, not yet. First, in the way of these things, it has to get all the way worse. It has to come down to a lit corridor and 2 blades, and the exact moment that started everything. Palpatine makes his move on Shmi. Of course he does. He felt exactly where Anakin's attachment pointed the very first night, in that dark study, when a 9-year-old came to threaten him, and couldn't quite keep the grief out of his voice. He has held that thread in his fingers this whole time, patient even in his new impatience, waiting for the single moment when pulling it would do the most damage. And the moment is now, when the two of them are cracked, doubting, freshly wounded by a vision, and further apart than they have ever been. Word reaches Anakin through channels that are obviously, insultingly compromised. His mother has been acquired, bought, quietly, legally, by an agent traceable, if you squint, to the office of a certain grieving senator, and moved to a location Anakin will be told only if he comes alone, off the temple grid, off the record, away from Mace, away from Yoda, away from anyone who might stand at his shoulder. It is the most transparent trap in the history of traps. Anakin knows it's a trap. Anakin knew it would be a trap before the message finished playing. Anakin is going anyway, and everyone who has ever met him knows he's going anyway, which is of course the whole point. A trap isn't weakened by being obvious if the bait is a thing the target cannot refuse. You know what this is? A trap. Obviously, a child could see it. I saw it before the message ended. Then you know the rest. He wants you off the board, and alone and raw. He'll have her there, alive, unhurt, close enough to touch, and he'll offer you her life for your allegiance, the way he did last time, and you'll take it. You'll take it because it's the one price you have never once in 2 lifetimes been able to refuse. This is it, Anakin. This exact moment. Not the Senate, not the war. This is the hinge everything else was always leading to. He built this whole ugly accelerated nightmare just to get you back into this one room, alone, with that one offer. Don't walk into it. Then get out of my way, Mace. I can't do that. Move. Or I go through you. I did it once already, Mace. I know exactly how. Don't make the arithmetic easy for me. Don't make yourself the one against the one. Then we're right back where we started, aren't we? You, choosing her over everything in the galaxy. Me, standing in the door telling you that you can't. Gods, look at us. Look where we're standing. It's the same room. Anakin, it's always the same room. We got sent back an entire lifetime. Resurrected, remade, handed a miracle. And we walk straight back into the same room. Different door, different blades, and different hands. Same room, same 2 men, same choice. The Force didn't send us back to a different life. It sent us back to this corridor, over and over, and it's going to keep sending us back until one of us does something we have never, ever done in it. Freeze it there. That's the summit. That's the highest and most dangerous point in all 3 hours. The very image of their first mutual destruction, reassembled out of the opposite pieces, humming a single motion away from completing itself. Every tension the story has braided together since the cold open is compressed into this one violet-lit corridor. The grudge, lit a lifetime ago and never once extinguished. The plan, burned to smoke on the first night. The worst world, glimpsed in a vision and now closing in. All of it, right here, in 2 shaking blades and 1 impossible sentence hanging in the air between them. It's the same room, and the entire question of the story, triumph or tragedy, a galaxy saved or a galaxy burned clean, 2 souls balanced or 2 souls damned a second time, now rests on a single thing. After 2 full lifetimes of walking into this exact room and making this exact choice, Mace choosing certainty, Anakin choosing his love, and both of them choosing to stand on opposite sides of the same closed door. Can either of these 2 men, for the first time in the history of either of their lives, choose differently? The blades hum, the city breathes below, and somewhere across the city, in a dark room he built for exactly this, Sheev Palpatine closes his eyes and feels the 2 of them out there at the edge of it, and he smiles, because in every version of this moment he has ever imagined, the blades come together. He has never once imagined what happens if they don't. We left them at the summit, 2 blades, amethyst and sapphire, trembling in arm's length apart in a dark temple hangar. 2 men who have each already killed the other once, 1 motion from doing it again, standing in what Mace just named out loud, the same room. Always the same room, and the thing that breaks the moment is not a strike. Remember that, because everything the story has been about comes down to it. After 2 lifetimes and a resurrection, the loop does not break with a blade, it breaks with a sentence. And the sentence comes from the person you would least expect to bend first, because bending is the one thing his whole nature was built never to do. No what? No, not the same room, not this time. I've been fighting this whole thing exactly the way I fought the window, certain I'm right, standing in the doorway, ready to sacrifice the one in front of me, you, her, whoever, to be right about the many, and it got me thrown out a window. It got my entire order butchered in a single afternoon, and then the Force gave me a miracle, a whole second life, and I used it to do the identical thing. I just aimed my certainty at you instead of at Palpatine. "What are you doing?" Yoda tried to tell me. Certain in the morning, surprised in the evening, around, and never once noticing that the certainty was the sickness. I called my flaw a virtue for 2 lifetimes. I called it discipline. I called it the greater good. I watched a vision of my own eyes turning yellow from it, and I still came down here to stand in a doorway and be right. Go get your mother, Anakin. It's a trap. You said so. You're right. It's a trap. He'll offer me her life for... It is a trap, so don't walk into it your way. Alone, blind, on fire, you've been screaming one true thing at me since the day we woke up, and I've been too certain to hear it. You said my arithmetic, the many over the one, is the exact math that builds the mask, bolt by bolt. And you're right, I finally heard it. A man who can sacrifice the person in front of him for a number is a man who will, eventually, sacrifice everyone and call it necessary and mean it. That's the road to yellow eyes. You've walked it. You warned me. I didn't listen. So here's the arithmetic I never once ran in either of my lives. We go together, we save her, the one, and we don't hand him the board. Not because it's the optimal play, because leaving a mother to die in the dark to protect a plan is the precise move that makes monsters out of good men, and I am done. I am done making monsters in the name of the greater good, starting with you, starting, maybe, with myself. Understand exactly what just happened, because it is the hinge the entire 3 hours has been swinging toward, and it is not what you were trained by 1,000 other stories to expect. Mace did not win the argument, that's the point. That was always going to be the trap. Mace winning, Mace being proven right, Mace getting the vindication he died wanting. Instead, Mace did the opposite. He surrendered his certainty, the single specific flaw the Force reached across a lifetime to make him face, and in surrendering it, he did the one thing neither of them had managed in 2 lifetimes. He took the true thing his enemy had been screaming, the truth his own flaw had kept him deaf to, and he let it in. He let it correct him. He looked into the mirror and for the first time, saw himself in it instead of Anakin. And now, it's Anakin's turn, because a mirror only balances if both faces change. If we go together, if we do it your careful way, and it goes wrong, and it comes down, in that room, with him whispering, to her, or the plan, to her, or the galaxy. I don't know if I can choose the plan, Mace. I have never once been able to choose the plan, not in a single version of my life. That's not a flaw I've fixed. That's the shape of me, down to the floor. I know, that's why I'm coming. So you don't have to make that choice alone, in the dark, with him breathing in your ear, and no one there who loves you enough to catch you before you fall. Last time you were alone, in a room with Palpatine and an impossible choice, and there was no one there who cared about you, the person, more than about what you could do or what you might become, and you chose, and no one caught it, and a galaxy burned. This time there's someone in the room who'd rather lose the whole plan than lose you to it. That's the thing that's different, Anakin. That's the only thing that has to be different. Qui-Gon told me something recently. He said when I think I have to do it alone, in the dark, that's the exact moment to go find him instead. I thought he was the one who was supposed to catch me. Maybe it takes more than one of us. Come on, before he wonders why you're late to his trap. They walk into the trap, together, eyes open, which is the one variable Palpatine's entire plan did not account for, because in every version of this he ever imagined, the boy comes alone. There you are. I confess, I expected you sooner. She's quite well, untouched, comfortable even. I'm not a barbarian, though I did not expect you to bring the master. How sentimental of you. How unlike you, Anakin, to share a moment this private. Ani, what is this? Who are these? It's okay, Mom. Don't be afraid. I'm here. It's going to be okay. Is it? Let me tell you how okay it can be. I can give you what no Jedi in that cold temple ever offered you, what they forbade you to even want. I can make death let go of the people you love. She never has to die, Anakin. Not in a tent, not in your arms, not ever. I have studied the pathway to that power my whole life, and I would give it to you, freely. For one small thing, the thing I have only ever asked of you, that you choose her over them, over him, over the whole barren order that told you love was weakness. Choose the mother who made you over the strangers who used you. It is the only honest choice you have ever wanted to make. So make it, and she lives forever. You know what you never understood about me? You always offered me her life at the price of my soul, and you were always so sure I'd pay it, and I did. Last time, I paid every cent. But you only ever won that deal because I was alone in the room, every single time. Alone, with you whispering, and someone cold like the old Mace standing across from me making your case for you, making it look like the only 2 choices were your darkness or their ice. I'm not alone this time, and these aren't the only 2 choices. That was always the lie. The Master won't help you save her boy. Ask him what he is. He does arithmetic. I've felt it on him for years, that cold adding machine soul, one life against many. He'll let your mother die where she stands to land his blow on me, and he'll call it wisdom. Won't you, Jedi? Tell the boy the truth. Tell him you'd trade her in a heartbeat. Tell him her life is an acceptable loss. I would have. Yesterday, I would have said exactly that, and meant it, and called it strength. Not today. Today I'm here to get a mother out of this room alive, and put you in the ground. And I no longer accept that those are two different missions. That was always your one trick, Sidious. Your only trick, under all the theater. You convince good men that love and duty point in opposite directions, so that whichever one they choose, they lose half their soul choosing it. They don't point in opposite directions. They never did. You just needed us to believe it, and you needed us alone to make it stick. And that is the moment Palpatine loses, not the duel. The duel hasn't started. He loses the war, the real one, the one that was never about lightsabers. He loses it standing still, mid-sentence, because his entire power over Anakin Skywalker was built on a single load-bearing lie, that to save the one you love, you must sacrifice everything else. That love is a trap, and the only exit from the trap is through the dark. It worked the first time, because Anakin was alone, and because a cold, certain arithmetic Jedi standing across from him seemed to prove the lie true, seemed to prove that the light really would let his mother, his wife, his loves die for the sake of a number. Palpatine didn't have to sell the darkness. The light's own coldness sold it for him. But now the arithmetic man is standing at Anakin's shoulder saying no, saying we save her and we stop him, or we don't deserve to save anyone at all. The lie has no floor left to stand on. Palpatine spread a choice between love and duty in front of two men. And the two men looked at it, and looked at each other, and refused to pick up either knife. You cannot divide people who have decided not to be divided. That's the whole secret. It's the thing the Sith, for 1,000 years, were constitutionally unable to understand. The duel, when it finally comes, is almost an afterthought, and that is precisely the point, so don't wish it were longer. Sidious is a monster, the greatest duelist manipulator the galaxy has ever produced. 1,000 years of Sith cunning distilled into one yellow-eyed old man, but he built his entire existence, his entire self, around one skill: dividing people, turning student against master, fear against love, the one against the many, and for the first time in his endless life, he is facing two people he cannot divide. Strike me down in anger, boy, and you're mine. You know this. You've lived this. The second you kill me in hate, you become me, and everything you did to stop it will have made it. I know. That's exactly why I'm not angry. I'm not doing this because I hate you. I don't anymore. I don't have the room. I'm doing this because you would hurt her, and him, and her, and everyone, and it's simply time for you to stop. That's all this is now. Not revenge, not rage, just time. Together? Together. Annie, what was that? Who was that man? What are you? It's over, Mom. It's really over. You're safe. And I didn't have to burn anything down to keep you. I didn't have to lose everything else to keep the one thing. It was never actually one or the other. He lied. It was never one or the other. So, balance. Not the balance the prophecy meant. Not the crude, literal, blade and body balance of the Sith are destroyed. Therefore the Force is balanced. Something stranger, something deeper, something the old Jedi, for all their wisdom, never quite understood either. The Force did not send back two saviors to outduel Palpatine. It could have sent back anyone for that. It sent back these two, specifically, out of all the dead in all of history. The man who loved so completely, he would burn a galaxy to keep one soul, and the man who was so certain he would spend a galaxy to be proven right. And it sat them in the same room, in the same standoff, over and over, wearing each other's oldest sins on their own faces, until each of them finally saw his own reflection clearly enough to set it down. Mace learned to lower the blade, to surrender the certainty, to choose the person in front of him over the perfect abstract number, and discover the number was never the point. Anakin learned to hold the line, to feel the love that had always ruled him absolutely, and for the first time, to not let it rule him alone, to let someone stand in the room with him and share the weight of the impossible choice, so that love didn't have to curdle into desperation, and desperation into the dark. And the exact instant each man took the one true thing the other had been screaming for 2 lifetimes, the truth his own flaw had blinded him to, Palpatine's entire 1,000-year architecture of division had nothing left to divide, and it fell. The Sith didn't lose to a better swordsman. The Sith never really lost to swordsmen. The Sith lost to 2 men who, at long last, stopped being alone in the room. That is what the Force wanted. Not victory. Not even Palpatine, particularly. It wanted balance. and it understood, the way the Jedi never did, that balance in a galaxy is only ever the outward shape of balance inside the souls that hold it. Fix the 2 wounds, and the world the wounds were bleeding into gets to heal on its own. It fixed them by making them save each other. One last image. Let's go back to where we opened. You come up here a lot. This window, it's where I died. I come up to remind myself I'm not that man anymore, the one who'd have thrown you out of it, to be right. And I come up to remember I'm not the one who'd have thrown you. Funny, 2 dead men, scared of the same window, not scared, aware of the drop. That's the difference, I think, between the men we were and the men we get to be now. We know exactly how far it is to the bottom, both of us. We measured it with our own bodies, so we stand a little further back from the edge, and we don't let each other lean. The Force didn't revive Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu to give them a second chance at the galaxy. It gave them a second chance at each other, and this time, barely, painfully, and only together, they took it.